He's a hot one with hot takes. He's always a good friend. Michael Kitces joining us, man who needs no introduction. Michael, welcome. Thanks so much for making some time here in beautiful Boca Raton.
Appreciate it.
You were a good sport this morning. Hot ones.
Yes.
First off, how are you feeling after some of those chicken wings?
I honestly, it's a little bit rough.
Yes.
You know, Jason Pereira, who set this whole event up, and I guess is enamored with the Hot One show. Like, he literally orders the hot sauce package array from the show and runs the full thing. So all the way up to whatever 2 million Scovilles kind of thing. So yeah, the stomach is still settling. My lips and taste buds have kind of cooled off now. It's been a few hours, but I was definitely sweating fairly profusely from the stage. It is legitimately hot sauce. Like, holy cow.
Well, one thing that never makes you sweat is your insights on this industry, because you're always cool as a cucumber. You always have great insights.
There's always stuff going on.
100%. So what is going on? What has your attention right now?
Look, I think all things AI, right?
Yes.
It's the hot conversation and buzz all the way around. But I still have a very different take on AI. I am excited about what's coming and how it moves us forward, but I think firms are candidly really approaching AI and their expectations about AI wrong. The conventional view is some version of we'll give you all this software, it's AI enabled, it'll save you all this time on the tasks that you do, and then you can all have 200 clients and spend 80% of your time. The advisor enterprise leader who's run the numbers, all the numbers get amazing if you got your existing advisors and you can add capacity and have them in more meetings. But when I start looking at this from the advisor end, so first and foremost, very few of us are actually happy having deep financial planning relationships with 200 plus clients.
Right.
It's just an overwhelming number of people. I mean, most advisors I see that have 200 clients, 300 clients, no, you have 200 people you sold something to at one point in the past, and 50 to 75 people you actually have deep, meaningful relationships with. So if you're trying to build a wealth management firm and go really deep with clients, no one has deep relationships with 200 plus clients. You start running out of time. And just your brain gets tired.
Right.
And some firms say, well, but we're not going to run out of time because we're going to have all the AI. And then advisors can spend 7 or 8% of their time in client meetings. I think okay, let's do the math for a moment. There's 8 working hours in a day. If 80% of your time is in client meetings, you're spending more than 6 hours per day in client meetings. 6 meetings, 1 hour each, stacked with no breaks for the day, every day, 5 days a week. I don't know any advisor who actually wants to do that.
Right.
That is, the industry paints this as the utopia, and I'm that's a dystopian burnout nightmare for most advisors. This is not what anybody who does the work aspires to. And when I look at from our own research and data that we do on Kitces, where does advisor time actually go when they start saving time? For a few advisors that are super growthy, they go and get more clients, but frankly, they're the ones that always go and get more clients. Right. Everybody else, what do they do when they get time back? First of all, a bunch of them just work shorter days and go home early and play with their kids. Right. So, their day did get more efficient, but you're not getting a productivity lift off of that. You're just getting maybe a happiness lift because they can go home earlier. Right. Or they do what most of us do. What happens if I find a little bit of extra time at the end of the day and I'm thinking about my clients? I go call one of my top clients and I just have an extra touch point. I have an extra outreach, right? In the simplest sense, I go deeper with the clients that I've got.
Deeper with fewer,
So, quality goes up, depth goes up. These are actually good things. Right. But suddenly it looks a lot more what happens with the time savings AI? We don't take on more clients. We go deeper with the clients that we've got.
Right. Now, when we think about AI, I think one of the things we're not considering is everyone is using AI. Your clients are using AI. It's changing the way we think and react to everything we do. And I think sometimes that realm is something that advisors are missing. It's listen, I get it. You're using AI. It's making you more efficient. But how is it changing the conversations ultimately you're having with the end client too?
Well, and the irony is I find how does it change the conversations with the end client? Yeah. They're not shorter.
Right.
They're not faster.
No.
I looked at a AI-driven investment research tool a couple weeks ago, new cool thing coming to the market. Yeah. We can take all these it's particularly built for folks that like to do individual stock analysis. we gather all the 10Ks and the 10Qs and all the SEC filings and all this stuff, and like you just like real like natural language query your like investment thesis, and it'll scan a bajillion companies for a bajillion years worth of data, pull it all together, and give you like the responses in a couple of minutes that would have taken like a multi-analyst team weeks to analyze. So like, look at how amazing this is. Like, you're going to save so much time.
Yes.
And I look at this like, okay, I used to be an investment nerd. I have a lot of friends who are investment nerds. Like, you put this tool in front of me, like, and take an analysis that used to take 3 weeks and make it take 30 minutes. I'm not going to hang up my spurs after 30 minutes and be like, cool, done. I've got my answer. I'm like, I have so many new investment ideas that I'm going to test now that I've got this amazing tool. So what am I going to do? I'm going to spend the same 3 weeks that I was before, but now I'm not going to do one test that would have taken me 3 weeks. I'm going to have like 30 different investment theses. I'm going to run them all through the numbers. I'll make a giant spreadsheet of all of them. I'll compare them and try to evaluate the best, and then I'll pick the one that I'm going to pick because I'm used to spending a couple of weeks on this analysis. And so what happens? I like call this Kitces' law paradox. Like the time always expands. To fill the available overhead space that the firm has available. And so you make my investment analysis faster, I do more investment analyses. Better quality investment advice didn't save me time. I looked at another vendor that's working on some cool new financial planning enhancements. We'll use AI, we'll ingest the documents, we'll populate the planning software, we'll analyze the client's information, and we'll start providing financial planning suggestions that you might consider as recommendations, right? Human in the loop, but you don't want to automate this. Like, of course you want to review it, but we might surface a few things that maybe one of your advisors would have missed. I'm like, that's cool. I mean, let's be honest, even good advisors, like every now and then you forget about the strategy that doesn't come up that often. They're like, oh yeah, that would totally work for this client. So I'm like, great, Mr. Software Vendor. Like, let's say you do this and you surface two new planning ideas my advisor would have missed. Well, then they have to explain it in the client meeting. That's 2 more sections of the meeting to talk about these. And frankly, the meeting was already a little bit long. So if we're going to do 2 more in-depth recommendations, I need a second meeting. So I need prep for the second meeting. I got to do the second meeting. I got follow-up from the second meeting. Oh, and if the idea is that good and the client wants to implement it, we have to do the implementation paperwork. So you saved me 30 minutes on plan prep, and you added 4 hours of meeting and implementation. So I am net negative 3.5 hours of work on this client. Now again, deeper advice, better quality. I mean, like if the client gets more things that are helpful and we implement them, the client gets better experiences, better outcomes. We'll talk about us better. Like there's a lot of good things from this. But as I look at it, like the more I look at how AI is showing up for space, this looks much more like an effectiveness tool than an efficiency tool. And the outcome is much more about quality than time savings. And so at best, I worry we're going to have some expectations dashed when we're looking for all these like efficiency, zillion client counts that don't turn out. And at worst, I worry a little that we're designing for the wrong problem. Because if I said like, here's the ultimate goal, we want to make AI tools that make your advice such high quality and valuable that you can raise your fees by 10%. And then you get a productivity lift because you're delivering 10% more value for the same advisor count and time. So there's your productivity lift. But what if the value is deeper, higher quality advice at a higher price because it's more meaningful? Not, well, now we hardly have to see our clients and we can take 6 meetings a day and handle hundreds of them, which doesn't actually sound very appealing for anybody but the person running the P&L.
And I think about overload. There's an information overload that's happening, but I think about
it in the client overload.
100%.
There's a meeting overload.
There's a whole overload happening.
Overload.
And then from the perspective of, you mentioned this morning on stage, you're looking at a logo overload too. You're talking about, you said 750 folks in 5 years?
We've got about 500 like companies that we track on our advisor tech map now. I mean, we're already seeing like a half a dozen new vendors are showing up every month of like, advisor had problem, couldn't find solution, used Claude code, made solution, turned it into software company. And I mean, aside from the Claude code part, that's actually how most advisor tech has come for years. Like advisor can't find solution, make solution, sell solution to friends. I mean, that's the origin story for Juncture, Redtail, iRebout, TRX, Redback, Tamarack, Orion, like a huge portion of the leading software vendors today were all advisors couldn't find solution, made solution, sold it to peers. But in the past, if you wanted to do that, you had to be one of those crazy people that went and like hired 3 engineers and spent 18 months with them trying to make a first version of the software. And now like you get maybe 1 engineer or just yourself for a couple of weeks on Claude code and you can make a working prototype. So the barriers to create software have come down.
Right.
And what happens when you reduce the barrier to make software? You get more software.
Right.
And so as much as we talk about, there has to be consolidation because there's too many logos on the map. I mean, I'll be the first to admit, like, there's a lot of logos on the map. There's a lot to maintain, and we didn't expect it was going to be like social commentary on the evolution of the space. But when you reduce the barriers to make a software company, you get more software companies. And I think the logos aren't going to consolidate on the map. I think the logos are going to go up 50% in the next 5 years.
And I look at that and see that, and I see a lot of people just going to that lower right-hand corner where it's like, hey, here's your all-in-one provider of solutions. That's, frankly, where integrated sits, and we're seeing a lot of that happening where people get overwhelmed, overcome by choice and go, forget it, I'm just going to find the all-in-one solution here.
I mean, there's a bifurcation there, but candidly, it's a bifurcation. It's like a preferences thing.
Yes.
And I think there will always be some of each. I mean, there are a subset of advisors out there like, it's too many darn pieces of software and I can't stand logging into 17 things. Would someone please just make an all-in-one so I can just have one place to log in? And then there's nuts there, subset of advisor like, all-in-one sounds cool, but I'm not compromising this on this and that on that. My planning software has to do this, my CRM has to do that. So I guess I'm just buying a bunch of best of breeds because I'm not willing to compromise on the things that are important to me. And when we actually survey this, in the advisor tech research that we do, we find that advisors who use best in breed are as happy with best in breed as advisors who use all-in-one are happy with all-in-one. There's not a material difference. The only difference that we find is advisors who buy a bunch of best of breed tend to have slightly higher tech costs. Because if you buy 17 logos, it is a little more expensive usually than when you buy an all-in-one that packages a bunch of stuff together. But even though the best in breed folks are spending more on tech, they are just as much happier as they're like conceding in costs. So the net result is they spend a little more and they're a little happier for the things that they spend, but they're a little less happy because it's more expensive. And net, they have the exact same satisfaction ratings as the people with all-in-ones, which to me means, if you're an advisor navigating this, there's just kind of a know thyself. Like if you have an inkling that you just really want to buy the best thing in all the categories, like don't force yourself into an all-in-one. Buy the things you like in all the categories. And if you're going nuts buying all the things in the categories and trying to weave them together, like go find an all-in-one. 100%. You're going to be much happier.
Michael, incredible insights. I could sit here and talk to you all day. Thank you so much for your time. And hey, I hope you get plenty of milk and take care of that stomach.
Yes, we'll be taking some milk and resting this evening.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Hey, for wealthmanagement.com, I'm Matt Ackerman. Have a great day.